This is POV Nigeria on Radio. Hello and welcome to POV Nigeria on Radio. This is a solution journalism online radio podcast where we have a sit down to discuss, understand and make sense of every issue as they happen in Nigeria and across Africa. My name is Henry Igwebike, and I have with me today on the show from Abuja my twin brother, Mr. Chijuke Igwebike. He is a public affairs analyst, a social activist with a strong interest for leadership, accountability, and community development in sub-Saharan Africa. Mr. Chijuke, welcome to POV Nigeria on Radio. And how is Abuja today?
Yes, Abuja is fine, and thank you so very much for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure. Yes, my brother, I can see Abuja is treating you quite well, and it's great seeing you once more. But let us go to the crux of the matter for today. A few days from now, Nigerians will be going out en masse to select their preferred presidential candidate. And you will agree with me that the internet and social media has gone agog with a plethora of several not so good misrepresentation of the personalities of several presidential candidates. Amongst the most hit is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. Now, I would love us to watch one amongst many contents that has gone viral, and you tell me what you will think afterwards.
A town hall different from Blue.
God have mercy upon us.
So tell me, Mr. Chijuke, what do you make out of what you have watched so far? Going by what we just watched together, and also with reference to so many other videos flying around, on the internet about how the person of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has been ridiculed. I think it's very, very sad, especially coming from who we are as Africans. Because one thing where they take abuse for Africa now, this desire to respect one another, especially respect for, people way senior us and our elders. And to imagine that some of these things where you see they happen around, if you check them well, you go see say na Asiwaju Bola Tinubu grandchildren age mates, now then they do all these things. So I think it should be condemned. It's not nice for our politics because one thing we need to understand is whatever picture we paint, is what the outside world perceives us with. So I think it should be condemned. I don't like it, and I think something should be done about it to stop it from happening to other contestants and candidates in the future. So that's my view about that. What then do you think is the cause of mockery against the great personality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu? If you ask me, I will say about 60 to 70% of waiting they happen to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu respect to, the kind of jest and mockery that he gets on social media is predominantly caused by him. But why would you say what is happening to him right now is predominantly caused by him? Between 2007 and today, you would agree with me that so much must have happened to his persona, the kind of person when he be. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu grew from just a former governor and a politician to a kingmaker. And it's important we understand who a kingmaker is. Who is a kingmaker? A kingmaker is that influential person, that power broker, that's a hand that moves the cradle, whose responsibility is to achieve succession for somebody without necessarily making himself a viable candidate for the position. Okay? Now, going by this definition, you go see, say, it doesn't really make any sense that a kingmaker go come debase himself to the position of wanting what the king should go for. He is a kingmaker for crying out loud. Now the question is, why has he allowed himself, go down to the level of hunting for what is meant for the king? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Because the position of this man called Jagaban, if you take a look at it from every perspective, he is in the level of a supreme leader. Imagine a supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei. okay, whose responsibility is to choose who becomes the president and ask his followers, his followers to vote for this person, and the person wins. Imagine the Ali Khamenei himself now debating himself to wanting to become the president of Iran. How do you think it would work? The same ridiculous things where you see that happen to Tinubu today go be almost the same thing where go happen to Ram if he ever does that. So that's why I think it's very important we understand our place in society. If you are a kingmaker, remain a kingmaker. Everybody, we mustn't all be the president of this country. I am telling you the truth. You get people for this Nigeria and around the world that do not hold political positions, but they impact on the society and the community they belong to far more than the president does. So the question now is, which is more important? Is it just taking up that figurehead of say, I don't be president before, or impacting on the life of the society where God don't place for your hand? So that is the question I think we should ask ourselves.
What, in your view, is the penalty for a kingmaker who reduces or debases himself to desiring possibly the position of a king?
Of course, the consequences is all of these things that we see happening to him now. You see, every day he has become a source of mockery. People don't form song about him. All over the world, people are using his songs to do caricature and so on and so forth. Those are some of the consequences of a kingmaker who suddenly wants to become a king. You understand? And going by the words of Professor Lumumba, he said that no matter how good you are with anything, the more you stay in it, the more you spoil it. A good dancer knows when to leave the stage. Let me say it again. No matter how good you are with anything, the more you stay in that position, the more you spoil it. A good dancer knows when to leave the stage. So, one of the questions we're supposed to ask ourselves, and I always tell people whenever we have this kind of discussions with them, I ask them, if you want to know how your future looks like, go back to the past. Do a research and ask yourself, who are those people who don't behave like me today? Now ask yourself, what were the results of their actions afterwards? Whatever answers you get is what you might likely get. That is a template where the world don't create, keep. And nobody is immune to that.
Let's assume you are one of the top advisors of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What would be your best advice to him concerning all that we see against him with respect to the true meaning of what you described as the responsibility of a great leader?
The best advice I think I would give him, there's what we call self-sacrificial leadership. Self-sacrificial leadership. What is it? A self-sacrificial leader is a leader who tells himself, yes, I understand that these are the gains I am supposed to get. But for the benefit of those that are behind me, for the benefit of the larger society, is it possible for me to maybe trickle down on my ambition such that people where they behind me, the society which I am representing, can take better advantage of my actions? You understand me? But of course, we know this kind of thing no go fit happen for Africa. Africa, we are so egoistic. Africa, we believe in, get rich or die trying. Either I become president or I die in the process of becoming the president. That is one thing about Africa. Other countries, you go see, say, when things no good, you go see the person on your own go say, I no do again. You understand? He resigns. But in Africa, we don't see that kind of thing. And also it is when you go for, when you see our political leaders vying for positions, even when they know say, all odds are against them, even when they know say the handwriting is on the wall, that, hey, it is not a good thing for me to go for. But I not just understand. You still want to see them, go ahead to want to do it.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chijioke Igwebike, for allowing us your time today.
Yeah, thank you so very much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Alright, so this does it for this edition of POV Nigeria on radio. Remember, you can always follow us on all our social media platforms at POV Nigeria and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get information as we drop content every other week. On behalf of the entire team of POV Nigeria, my name is Henry Igwebike, and I'll see you next time on the next edition. Bye-bye for